Hey everyone, this is Mike DeMora coming from Redondo Beach, California here at the NCEP Fitness corporate office. So anyway, in today's blog, I really wanted to reach out to you because I need your feedback. I need your feedback. Look, what we have questions about is what should a trainer know? I mean, seriously, think about that for a second. What is important for a trainer in an everyday situation to know? What do they need to know? What questions come up? What can we do better as a company to educate the want-to-be trainer, the person who wants to get certified? Now, the reason I'm bringing up this question is I get all these people who've lately been taking our course because they've quote-unquote tried to be taking the NASM, and they said that it's just so much science and so bogged down and they just can't get through it. So I've got a question for you. Is that right or is that wrong? Are we doing a disservice because we don't get into all the fine hairs of all the different sciences? Or are we doing a service to the trainer because we realize that that's not really all that important? So what is important as a trainer? What do you need to know? Well, let me give you our feedback of what we think is important. We think the most important thing is the relationship that you have with your client. That is the absolute most thing. You know, our saying is, nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. And we can't teach caring. We can teach you how important it is to care. We can tell you how important it is to really reach out to your clients. But we can't really teach that caring. We can't teach you to have a heart. We can't teach you to have empathy. We can't teach you to truly understand what a client is going through. That's all on you. So what is it that we should teach you? So we teach you about attitude training, right? We teach you how important it is to have a positive attitude and to rub that off onto your client. And don't throw all your shit on other clients. Don't throw your shit on there. You're having a bad day. You don't come in and be like, oh man, I had this terrible day. No, you have to put on a happy face and you have to just be there. Be on. Be positive. Be professional, right? That's what we teach. That is what we constantly teach. That is what we think is important. Now, don't get me wrong. We give you a little bit of the sciences as well. Should you know some anatomy? Yes, we think you should know some anatomy. We really think you should know what? Functional anatomy. We think functional anatomy is the most important thing to know. Because if you don't really understand how a muscle works, you really don't understand what you're looking at. We think you should focus on what good quality movement should look like at each joint. And then you should try to replicate that with your client, right? You should try to get them to move correctly, move more often, move in the first place. So when we talk about move, what do we talk about? Well, we talk about our seven primary movements. Push, pull, bend, twist, squat, lunge, and gait. Gait meaning ambulation, getting from point A to point B. And you can either do what? You can walk there, you can jog there, or you can sprint there or run there, right? So those are the 7 things we want you to do. And we want you to just have them move. Now, as they're moving, we want them to what? We want you to look at what we call the 7 checkpoints, right? We want to look at head and neck, shoulders, upper back, low back, right? Hips, knees, and ankles. And we want you to look there and make sure that they're in quote-unquote good alignment as they do these movements. Now, as they do these movements, we want you to be able to what? Do 3 applications on these movements. We want you to hold it. We want you to have them move it slowly. And then we want you to have them move with explosion or as fast as they need to move in real life. We call that in our world levels 1, 2, and 5. So basically what I'm trying to ask you is, that's our whole goal. Have a great attitude. Care for your client. Care for them. I was at the gym the other day and I saw this trainer like screaming at the client, you're not working hard enough. Go on, get that extra rep. You need to. I'm like, wow, what are you thinking? This was like a 42, 44-year-old woman who looked maybe 10, 15, 20 pounds a little heavy, and her goal seemed to be like she just wanted to be more active. And this guy's like yelling at her, "What's wrong with you? You're never going to amount to anything." And I'm thinking, wow, what is that about? What is that about? That's not what training is. That's not our version of personal training. We are not like boot camp instructors for the Marines, right? We are not about screaming at our clients. We're about showing them love and caring for your clients. Look, guys, once again, that's our version of what's important. Our version is to have them be better human beings. You as a trainer need to be a better human being. You need to really act, care, and love for your clients, right? The rest will take care of itself. Then you have the 7 movements. You have those 7 movements that you work on, and you work on holding them, you work on moving them slowly, and you work on moving them a little quicker. And that's really kind of the whole story. Now we've got cardiovascular, because remember there's the 7 movements, and the 1 movement is what? Walk, jog, run. So where should they be? Well, first we need to test them. We test them at 40 to 60% of their maximum heart rate. Their maximum predicted heart rate is what? 220 minus their age. That's equal to their predicted maximum heart rate. And then we like to test them around 40 to 60% to make sure that their heart functions properly and that it's healthy enough for exercise. Once we do that, then we can start doing what? Level 2, which is what? Bumping them up 10%. Right? 10%, and we do these up and down, up and down, up and down, right? And we try to work to get them into better cardiovascular health, right? Those are all the important things. Movement, movement, movement. Now, some people call that flexibility. Sure. Well, our whole thing is if they can do those 7 movements properly, you're already working on flexibility. That's part of the flexibility, right? Because what are we doing with flexibility? Well, we're having them into a movement and holding. We're having them to move slowly through the movements. And then we're what? We're trying to have them move a little quicker. Well, that's what we call what? Flexibility. Those are different types of stretching. We have static stretching. We have what? We have dynamic stretching. And we even have ballistic stretching, right? Dynamic and ballistic, very similar. But, let's just, as we get a little further, we'll see that ballistic means just a little more explosion, a little more force behind it. So we're working on all those things. Do you understand how it all works as one? But that's really the crux of everything you need to know. So I'll go over it one more time. You need to know what? First, caring. Caring is the most important thing, and we can't teach that. Be a good human being and be a really, really, really special good human being to your clients. That's part 1. Part 2 is know some anatomy. Really understand what's moving, what's not moving, what's firing, what's not firing. What should we work on, right? Next, we want to do what? Next, we want to do movement skills. And there are 7 movements. We already went over them. So you go over the 7 movements. You apply what? A hold, move slowly, move quickly, bam. Now, we'll leave that last of the 7. That 7 would be walk, jog, and run. And we think that's what? That's really, really important for what we call cardiovascular conditioning or cardiovascular training. And what do we want to do? Well, first we want to work on what? Steady state. We want to work on steady state, getting their oxygen, getting their breathing down, making them feel good about it. And then to get them in better condition, we're going to do what we call interval training. Interval training means we what? Bump them up, bring them back down. Bump them up, bring them back down in their heart rate. Now remember, you should only go 10% higher than what you've tested them in their safety zone. Does that make sense? Okay, well, I hope that does. We want to hear from you. Are we on the right path? Are we doing the right thing? Are we there for you? All right, well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. We'll talk to you next week. God bless.